think anyone's watching it, but hi guys.
Hi.
It's Tate.
And it's Cameron.
We're here with your fairy tales and myth trivia for this week because the theme is fairy tale week. So don't mind the occasional grumpy noise in the background. There's a machine at work. We don't really have much control over that, so I hope you guys can hear us well enough. Oh, and someone's already commented that they're here. So I was about to say that. So if you can comment your names so we know who's here, we'll just wait another minute and see who shows up, and then we'll get into the trivia. Awesome. A few more people. Okay. We'll get started with the trivia, but hopefully more people will join us in a little bit. Okay, so I like to ask questions at the beginning of these. So, what's your favorite fairy tale or myth? So I love a lot of myths and mythology, but I really love the Little Mermaid, the original one. And if you've read that, it's a little sadder. That's what I'm gonna say, but I think it's really interesting. So that's what I like. This is yeah, I think I wrote it in the kind of description, but so basically we do this every week for the summer program, but you take part in this week's trivia for a chance to win a $5 Tim Hortons gift card. So all the players will be put into a draw that we'll do after the trivia game is over. So just, yeah, make sure to comment your names. And I think a few of the people who are here already have, but if you're just getting here now, please do comment your name so we know who's here for the draw at the end. We will ask again at the end just to make sure we got everyone. But why don't we start asking questions? So the question one, don't you love this? I really love this background this week.
Yeah. Okay, question one. Who originally wrote the story of the Little Mermaid?
I told you it was my favorite fairy tale, didn't I? Yeah. So I made it the first question. It's not biased at all. There's someone else here.
Okay, we can move on to the answer. No one wants to comment.
So his name is Hans Christian Andersen. Yep, someone just commented it now. We just saw that. So Hans Christian Andersen was a Danish author born in Denmark who lived in 1805 until 1875. I realize I started reading this and you were supposed to do it.
It's fine. I'll read the next one.
Okay. So he wrote plays, novels, poems, but he's best known for writing fairy tales. He wrote 156 fairy tales across 9 volumes, including tales you might know like The Ugly Duckling, Princess and the Pea, The Little Match Girl, The Emperor's New Clothes, and Thumbelina. It's said that he wrote The Little Mermaid after his friend Edward Cullen got married. I've kind of written a description of the book here to read, but to be honest, I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's a little gruesome, but if you're interested in the original, you can look it up. Maybe I won't spoil it for you, unless you've already read what's behind us, but... someone said, Cordelia likes mermaids and unicorns, and Wesley likes anything with dragons. Oh, that's cute. I really like dragons, too. Dragons are a good favorite.
I like mermaids, too, Cordelia. I think they're really fun.
I like mermaids. I mean, I did say The Little Mermaid was my favorite, but just dragons.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Okay. We'll move on to question 2. Who wrote the novel Alice in Wonderland? So we'll give you guys a minute to answer that. I think a few more people showed up, so make sure to note that. Don't see anyone commenting yet, but should we go on to the answer?
Yep.
Okay. I'll let you read this one.
Okay. So the answer is Lewis Carroll. And Lewis Carroll was an English writer who lived from 1832 until 1898. The name Lewis Carroll was a pen name, and the author's real name was Charles Ludwig Dodgson. Along with writing, he was also a teacher and he loved children. In 1865, he released a popular novel titled Alice in Wonderland, and its sequel, Alice Through the Looking Glass, was released in 1871. Carroll denies that the character of Alice was based off real persons, but many speculate she represents Alice Little, one of the daughters of a close friend. And along with writing and teaching, he was also a poet, one of my favorites, and some of his poems, like the Jabberwocky and the Walrus and the Carpenter, were in Alice in Wonderland, but he also wrote standalone poems.
It's funny that you said my favorite, because I wrote this.
I like him too.
I do love his poems, but this is one of my favorite poems, because I wrote that. But yeah, Lewis Carroll, interesting guy. We'll move on to question 3. What famous pair of brothers are known for collecting and popularizing the fairy tales we know today? I realize there's a grammar mistake in this question, but I'm just going to point that out so no one else does. The brothers are known or is known? Oh, more people! Hello!
Awesome.
I love making new friends.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys might have heard of these. You've probably heard of these guys. You've probably heard of their collections of fairy tales because they found a lot of different fairy tales from like different countries and stuff and kind of put them into a big book. Yes, someone commented the answer. That is a correct answer. So the answer is the Grimm brothers, or the Brothers Grimm, however you want to say it. So the Grimm brothers, Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm, were academics, researchers, and authors, and together they collected popular fairy tales and folk tales in the 19th century. Their first volume of fairy tales was published in 1812 and the second in 1815. They were actually not originally meant for children, and this is made clear by how sad and gruesome a lot of the original tales are. They are famous for popularizing folk tales like Cinderella, Rumpelstiltskin, The Frog Prince, Rapunzel, Sleeping Beauty, Snow White, Hansel, Gretel, and The Frog Prince, which I already said. I wrote it down there twice. So yeah. Oh, I see some more people commented. Yeah, the Brothers Grimm. There's not a whole lot known about them, I don't think, besides the basics, but they did compile a lot of fairy tales. We'll move on to question 4.
Right. What original fairy tale was the movie Frozen inspired by?
I really like the fairy tale that Frozen was actually inspired by, but I will tell you it's not called Frozen.
I love the movie Frozen.
The movie,
my favorite.
I loved it, especially when it came out. So I was in 8th grade, so at recess, all we would do was sing Frozen songs. It was mostly like in summer.
It's a good movie.
It's a really good movie. But the original short fairy tale is actually really cool. Again, it's a little bit more gruesome, but it's honestly not. It's not too bad. There are a lot of like hints you can see in the original.
Our first answer, that's close. There you go, we got our correct answer.
Yeah. Yes, the answer is the Snow Queen. So.
Yeah, so The Snow Queen was written by Hans Christian Andersen. It's a longer tale about a young girl and a boy. The Snow Queen, the villain in the story, kidnaps Kai, the boy, and everyone thinks he's gone missing except for his best friend, Gerda. Gerda goes on a long adventure to save him and makes friends with the reindeer and some others who help her on her quest. There's a cool Easter egg hidden in the name of some of the main characters. The villain's name is Hans, the love interest is named Kristoff, the main character is named Anna, and the animal sidekick is named Sven. Put all their names together and you get Hans, Kristoff, Anna, Sven, which kind of sounds like Hans Christian Andersen, who wrote the original tale, which is pretty cool. I didn't know that before.
I didn't even, that's not research I did for this, I just knew that because I like this stuff.
I didn't know that before I read this.
It's really interesting. I don't know. We'll move on to question 5. Who wrote the Lord of the Rings series? You guys might know this. I mean, I kind of consider this kind of like fairy tales and stuff. There are some books, older like books and stuff, that I would probably consider kind of fairy tale, folktale kind of things. I mean, Lord of the Rings kind of inspired by... It's kind of like inspired by a lot of those kind of things, you know, with the hobbits, and well, he was the first one that actually named hobbits what they are, which is a really cool fact. But all the other stuff like elves and stuff, the kind of things you see in fairy tales and kind of things like that. So I kind of included stuff like that in this. And I see a right answer. That's correct. So the answer is J.R.R. Tolkien. J.R.R. Tolkien was an English writer, poet, academic, and he's best known for his high fantasy series Lord of the Rings and his prequel novel titled The Hobbit. That's one of my favorite books, just so you guys know, if you were wondering. You weren't, but it's okay. He's often regarded as the father of modern high fantasy literature, and he was born in 1892, and from 1925 until 1959 worked as a college professor. He was appointed a commander of the Order of British Empire by Queen Elizabeth II in 1972, and after his death in 1973, at the age of 81, his son Christopher published notes, manuscripts, poems, fictional histories, invented languages, and literary essays that his father actually hadn't published yet. Yeah, really cool dude. I keep saying that, but it's true. These people are pretty interesting.
They are.
We'll move on to question 6.
Right, so question 6.
Yes.
What is the name of Norse god Thor's hammer?
And I think they're here today, but they get the kids every week. There's a kid named Odin, who in Norse mythology, Odin is the name of the father of Thor. So
that's pretty cool.
I think that's a cool name. That's a cool name. Sorry, some more people are here. I'm just gonna. Okay. Yeah. Norse mythology is really interesting. I'd say it's probably, I don't know as much about it. Do you know a lot about it?
Not a whole lot, no.
I know more about Greek and Roman, and probably more about Egyptian, honestly, than Norse, but Norse is pretty cool. But I see an answer. It is a correct one. So we'll move on.
So the answer is...
sorry, I can say the answer.
Mjolnir.
The answer is Mjolnir.
Here, I got it.
Yeah, you did it. You did it. You got it.
Alright, so Thor is the Norse god of lightning, storms, and strength. He had many brothers and many sons, but he was a son of Odin, and his mother is unknown. He is married to Sif, the golden-haired goddess.
Yeah, it's fun to say Mjolnir. Yeah, we'll move on to question 7. Who is the main character in Homer's The Odyssey? So, a little background in case you didn't know. Homer is an ancient Greek writer, so I want to say he's like Plato and stuff like that, but Plato is actually more of like a philosopher kind of thing. While he did write stuff, like he wrote about Atlantis and stuff, he didn't write as much stories and things like that. And so Homer kind of took the Odyssey, which is about the main character, which I'll find the name of in a minute. He wrote it based off of like oral tales that a lot of people told in ancient Greece. Yeah. Although if you've read actual Plato stuff, honestly, it's a little interesting, but a little weird though.
I've read some of it.
Yeah, I read Plato's Ion. I'm not even gonna get into it. And I see a answer, and it is correct. So the answer is Odysseus. It's funny, the Odyssey, Odysseus. Yeah, I know. So Homer was an ancient Greek poet known for writing major epics, like the Iliad and the Odyssey. So the Odyssey follows Odysseus, king of Ithaca, while he's on his way home after the Trojan War. It takes him 10 years to get home, and in that time, he goes on many adventures. The Odyssey is one of the oldest works of literature that is actually still often read today. So if you guys are interested, go home and read the Odyssey, or you're probably already home. Find a copy of the Odyssey and read it. It's pretty cool. We'll move on to question 8.
Okay, what is the name of King Arthur's sword?
I think you guys will know this. Well, I mean, there is a Disney movie, but even if you haven't seen the Disney movie, which is pictured, The Sword in the Stone, you probably know the name of it. I didn't really know a lot about King Arthur before I was doing like research for this kind of thing. But I found out a lot of interesting things that I had no idea about King Arthur, and interesting tales. There are a lot of rewritings of King Arthur and all of his stories and stuff like that. So it's not always exactly clear which one is correct or the first one. I see an answer, and it is a correct one.
All right, so the answer is Excalibur. King Arthur, ruler of Camelot, obtained Excalibur by putting the sword from an anvil sitting on top of stone on Christmas Eve. In some stories, the sword he pulled from the stone is a different one, and Excalibur was given to him by Sir Lancelot's mother, the Lady of the Lake. It came with a sheath that would let him live forever, but unfortunately it was stolen by his sister not long after he got it. There are many legends detailing King Arthur and his knight's adventures, and stories have been added and rewritten many times.
Excalibur. We'll move on to question 9. Who wrote The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe? It's interesting thing, I always think The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is the first one, but I don't think it actually is the first one, because this is a series. The Chronicles of Narnia, right?
Yeah.
But I think The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is the second one, but for some reason I always think it's the first one. But that's the one people always know. When you say The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. They don't know any of the other titles unless it's just Narnia. But yeah, there's like a picture, I think of part of the cover there, and then a picture of him over there. Yes, it's over there for you.
Okay, so we got our first... Oh. Just wait a minute.
Yeah. I mean, they see like 30 seconds behind, so...
Yeah.
Maybe we'll just move on, and maybe someone commented. Yeah, there we go. Wait, was I saying this one, or were you?
There you
go.
go.
Okay. The answer is C.S. Lewis. So C.S. Lewis was a British writer and theologian born in 1898. He wrote over 30 books that have been translated into over 30 languages, the most popular of which are in the series The Chronicles of Narnia. He married American writer Joy Davidman in 1956, who died of cancer 4 years later in 1960 at the age of 45. He worked at Oxford University with J.R.R. Tolkien, who we talked about earlier, from 1925 to 1954, and then worked at the University of Cambridge until his death in 1963 at the age of 64. Again, another interesting dude. We'll move on to question 10.
Okay, question 10 is, who wrote the novel The Adventures of Pinocchio?
I'll give you guys a hint. He's not English. Yeah. That's the hint. It's probably not very helpful, but he's not English. So the Pinocchio is actually a translated version, like the one you would read.
Oh, cool.
Oh, that's awesome. The Narnia series, I think, is what they're referring to.
Yeah.
Is one of Wesley's favorites. That's cute. It's a good one for sure.
Yeah, it is good. Okay.
I think we'll keep moving on. Hopefully some people answer in a second, but we'll move on to... Oh, literally had an answer.
Yeah,
there we go.
Correct. It is Carlo Collodi. Carlo Collodi was an Italian writer born in 1826 in Florence. He was born Carlo Lorenzini, and his mother was a seamstress from the town of Collodi, from which he got his pen name, and his father was a cook. He was the oldest of 10 siblings and spent most of his younger years with his maternal grandmother in Collodi. He was very into politics and wrote for several newspapers during his career. He started the Adventures of Pinocchio, or Adventure di Pinocchio, in 1880 and published chapters weekly in the newspaper Giornale per I Bambini. He died in 1890 at the age of 63.
I'm sorry. There's Italian words in here, and you weren't ready for it.
No.
Oh gosh, I forgot I put that there.
You can tell Tate made this one, I didn't.
Yeah, you can tell. Okay. Yeah, Pinocchio. We'll move on to question 11. What Greek philosopher wrote about the lost city of Atlantis? Oh my gosh, I think I talked about this a few minutes ago. Well, if you guys remember what we were talking about when we were talking about the Odyssey, you'll already know the answer to this. Gosh, that was funny of me. Yeah. This is kind of the picture people use of it. I think it might be like the picture on the book, on most copies of the book that you get. Do you read about Atlantis from? I've never actually read it, but yes, someone said there that's the correct answer. The answer is Plato. So Plato was a philosopher during the classical period in ancient Greece. He's considered one of the most important and influential people in human history, along with his teacher, Socrates, and most famous student, Aristotle. little is known of Plato's life aside from his works of philosophy because he lived a really, 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 really long time ago. Yeah, we'll move on to question 12, though.
Okay, so in the original novel, The Wizard of Oz, what color were Dorothy's shoes?
So in the movie, they're ruby red, and there's reasons for why they changed the color, which we'll get into in a minute. But they're not ruby red in the book, which is really cool. There's something a little less eye-catching, but they're still sparkly, because they're like sparkly shoes. Yeah.
See.
Yeah, there was something I wanted to say, and it's completely slipped my mind. Oh,
There we go.
see an answer. It's correct.
Her shoes were silver. In the original novel written by L. Frank Baum and published in 1901, the shoes Dorothy gets from the Wicked Witch of the East are silver. Since Wizard of Oz was the first movie filmed in color, the directors changed the silver shoes to ruby red so they stood out more. There are 13 sequel books written by L. Frank Baum for The Wizard of Oz, and the film inspired by the Broadway musical Wicked, which details the life of the Wicked Witch of the West.
I saw it once in Kitchener. It was really good.
Oh.
Yeah. We'll move on to question 13. So, what size are Cinderella's feet? Now, this is according to Disney, because it's an old fairy tale. They didn't really say the size of her feet or anything. According to Disney's Cinderella, the size of her feet. We only know that they have to be small according to the original fairy tale, or else otherwise people wouldn't be have such a hard time fitting into them.
Yeah. I think the reason that so many people didn't fit into them is because her feet were such like a not average size.
You know, her feet are tiny, and that's the hint.
No one
I'm gonna
else
give
fit
you.
into them.
Yeah. No grown woman, I should say, or grown man would have fit into them. A child might have, depending on their age. But very small feet. You can make a guess based on that, what I'm saying, very small feet. Yeah. Yeah, okay, yeah, so I see one person, and I think that's actually correct.
Oh,
the one person.
Yep.
Yeah.
So her answer is 4.5, and although most of the stories written about Cinderella's story don't tell you her shoe size, it's clear that she has really small feet, much smaller than average, or the prince wouldn't have been able to find her by trying the shoe of every girl in the kingdom. According to Disney, her shoe size is 4.5, which seems about right and fits the story.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people are saying 5. It's 4.5, 5. It's basically the same thing. So I would say that's correct. We'll move on to question 14. Who wrote the novel Peter Pan? It's another one of those like novels that like I honestly just kind of consider mythology. You can tell there was a lot of bias put into this presentation, but
I also love Peter Pan.
so it's pretty cool. I think when I was a kid, I had this like giant Peter Pan book, like just the Disney version, and it was just a giant like picture book of it. I don't know, I liked it.
Awesome. Okay, I'll see if any more answers come in.
Yep. Do-do-do.
Probably just...
Yeah, actually, I saw Peter Pan live when I was in like grade 6. Like they had like a play of it. I saw that. It was pretty cool. I think it was in Stratford. Actually, I saw it.
I saw it when I was really young in Stratford, I think.
Yeah. Okay, we'll move on to the answer. So, the answer is J.M. Barrie. So, Sir J.M. Barrie was a Scottish novelist and playwright born in 1860. He attended the University of Edinburgh and graduated with an MA in literature in 1882. He moved to London around 1900 and met the Davies boys, who inspired the story and many characters within Peter Pan, and another novel he wrote titled The Little White Bird. The story of Peter Pan was published in 1904, but the character Peter Pan actually made his first appearance in 1902 in The Little White Bird, that we talked about a minute ago. Although he continued to write with success, Peter Pan still overshadows all his other works. But before he died at the age of 77 in 1937, he gave the rights to Peter Pan to the Great Ormond Street Hospital for Children. So they made a lot of money after he died from the rights to that book. So that was really cool. Seems like a really nice dude. We'll move on to question 15.
Okay, so according to Disney, who is the youngest Disney princess? they're all in around the same age. One of them is younger than the rest of them.
Yeah, they're all like around their teenage years. A few of them, like a few of the newer ones, are a little older, but mostly they're teens. So yeah, I don't know. When I say Disney princesses is an interesting term. It's a hard one to use because not all Disney princesses are princesses, but also not all princesses, even if they're from Disney, are considered Disney princesses. Anyways, I see an answer and it's correct, and we'll move on.
All right, so the answer is Snow White, and according to Disney, Snow White is 14, Jasmine is 15, Aurora, Ariel, Mulan, Moana, and Merida are all 16. Belle is 17, Rapunzel and Pocahontas are 18, and Cinderella and Tiana are 19.
And I think I saw like Elsa is actually like 21 or something.
Yeah.
So she was actually in her 20s. Okay, so we're going to use this little app thing we have open here to pick who the winner is. I'm just gonna read the names we have here, and if we don't have your name, could you comment it again for us? So we got Wes, Cordelia, Odin, is it
Lilia, I think?
Yeah, Lilia, Gracie, Emily, Jessica, Jake, Colin, James, and Jill. Are we missing anyone?
I think we got everyone, but just in case we're missing you, just call your name again so we don't miss anyone in the draw.
I'll just read them one more time. Wes, Cordelia, Odin,
Lilia?
why can I never remember how that's pronounced?
I think it's Lilia.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Lilia. Gracie, Emily, Jessica, Jake, Colin, James, and Jill. I think that's everyone then, because I don't see anyone saying anything. So we will find out who the winner is. It's funny noise.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So,
do you want to announce the winner?
yeah, our winner today is Wesley.
Yeah, so Wesley, you can come down to the library anytime during open hours, and we'll have $5 Tim cards for you at the front desk. So if you just tell them that you're Wes and you won the trivia, then it'll be there for you, and they'll give it to you. So awesome. Yeah. Ooh, I lost my mouse there. In case you guys are interested, further information. Do you want to grab the Beanstack sheet? I realize we haven't said the Beanstack code for this. We have a list of them, but if you're looking for any like further information on like fairy tales and stuff like that, we've kind of got wrong thing. There, I'll move that. There we go. We've got a playlist, a book list, and some movies. Yes, the Beanstack code. We've completely forgot about it. This week, Beanstack code is silver. So SILVER. So you can put that into your Beanstack, and that should give you the little sticker button thing for this week's trivia. Yes. And yeah, so I just put some movies here if you guys are interested. But yes, that's it. So Beanstack code silver, SILVER. And again, congratulations, Wes, for winning.
Congratulations.
We hope you guys have fun. That's really it for today. So